Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Erosium, and in today's video guys we're going to be discussing leveling and some of the enchants that you can use on your heirlooms to make it that much quicker. Now I have already kind of covered previously some of the techniques I use to level quite quickly, and some of those have actually changed recently upon just doing a bit more research to just work out what's most efficient and just work out what's most efficient when leveling 10 characters, because at the moment I am leveling 10 characters. Now something I've been really enjoying doing is just doing 10 levels on each of these characters and challenging myself to go as quickly as possible. Now, if you're doing dungeons, that's not really feasible or possible unless you have like a group of friends that you're doing these dungeons with. It's much better to use something called Azeroth Autopilot, an add-on, which basically just automates your questing and gets you the quickest routes, makes you as efficient as possible in completing all your quests, and it has sped up my leveling like crazy, guys, like actual crazy. I'm actually so shocked by the speed in which I've been able to level all of these characters. I've been doing 10 levels a day on each of these characters, and I don't play like a huge amount. I play probably 2 hours like a day of World of Warcraft, so I mean probably 3 hours actually, let's be realistic. You know, probably more than that, who knows. Just a quick note before we get into the video, you guys, I really appreciated the love and support that you guys have been giving me over on this channel. It's so nice of you. We hit 1,600 subscribers yesterday, and it's all down to you guys just showing that love and support and being here as a part of the community. I really appreciate you all, and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. If anyone is ever just in need of a chat or in need of a World of Warcraft friend, reach out and we can have a chat. I'm very active on my Twitter and my Instagram, so if you want to reach out on either of those just for a chat or about at all anything, then I'm always up for that. I'm also quite active on my Discord as well, so feel free to join that. Okay guys, let's get into the video. So as to speed up my leveling that much more, I've been getting enchants on all of my characters. This might seem, you know, like not a smart thing to do on all of them, but I've got a bit of gold to spare. I just want to level all of the characters 10 levels at a time, each character, and I don't have to transfer armor across to each character. It's kind of inconvenient for me, and I just love, you know, leveling 10 characters all at once. It's really fun for me. So I'm going to be showing you in this video the enchants that I use across my different characters. Now do just bear in mind with the kind of advice that I'm giving in this video, I am just predicting that you guys are going to be questing to level, and there can be slightly different enchants for if you are just focusing on dungeons. Say you're a healer, there might be a slightly different enchant for specific being the best type of healer as a leveler, but I'm just predicting that you guys are typically just questing through to level 120, getting yourself up there as quickly as possible, and these enchants will definitely help you in that process. First, we're going to be looking at Intellect. Second, we're going to be looking at Agility, and third, we're going to be looking at Strength enchants. Okay guys, so let's get into the cloth. Okay, so if you're a cloth user and your major stat is Intellect, you kind of use Intellect as your major stat across the board for everything, then these enchants are going to be for you. First of all, we're going to go for the necklace. Now this necklace is an enchant you would have on all of your characters, whether they're Intellect, Strength or Agility. It's just really, really good. Basically this enchant will throw a bunch of bolts at an enemy when you've damaged them, and I find every encounter you get, it procs about once to twice, and it just really, really helps. I find that a lot of the time this has actually helped me one-shot a target just because of that proc, and it's really, really good, especially sometimes when it just does one of those random 2 or 3 procs and you're just like, okay, just die then. It's great. So get yourself the Mark of the Hidden Satire. I'm on a really, really high pop realm, so this is quite a low price for an enchant, but typically on other realms this might go up to like 1,500 gold, depending on you know, which realm you are on. But get yourself that Mark of the Hidden Satire. For yourself to get some shoulder intellect, I would suggest getting yourself the Greater Crane Wing Inscription. Now this will basically just add 12 intellect and 4 critical strike to your shoulders. Definitely worth getting on any cloth users or any spellcasters, you know, who are reliant on that intellect for the extra damage. This will really help you. So get yourself one of those. Doesn't cost very much, 139 gold on my server, but I have a feeling that will be a much more. Just looking at the region market average is 951 gold, so it might be a bit different on your servers. It is worth noting with these, you need to make sure that you don't apply this enchant on a low level character. It won't work. You need to buy this enchant, create the piece of gear on a high level, level 85 and above is what I mean by high level, and apply that enchant to the piece of gear and then send that piece of gear to the low level character. The reason for that is the enchant can't be used by someone under the level of 85, so you need to make sure you apply it to the piece of gear on a higher level character, then send that piece of gear over to the low level character you're planning to use it on. And that's the same for all of the shoulder enchants I'm going to be talking about during this video. Okay, so for your cloak, this is one of those similar to the neck enchant. You use this across all of your characters, whether it's strength, agility, or intellect. Specifically for intellect, yeah, get this. Basically enchants your cloak to give you 5 versatility and 2 speed, which is really good for leveling, and that extra speed just helps you in everything you are doing. So get that, apply it to the gear and get using it. Much like the neck enchant and the cloak enchant, this one also can be used across all of the characters because it gives you 10 plus stats. Enchant chest glorious stats, and basically just gives you 10 stats across the board, and that will just generally help you with everything you're doing on any character. So get yourself that from the auction house. It should be quite cheap. It's looking like the region sale it is looking still quite cheap, so you should be okay with that. Now when it comes to intellect, greater pearl is what I remember. There we go. When it comes to intellect, it is different. You can't kind of use the same thing that you would use on strength or agility. You need to make sure you get these, and you need it again. Like the shoulder one, you've got to apply it on a character who is level 85 and above in order to get the maximum benefits. So buy that on your main. Create the piece of gear, which is your obviously your pants, your trousers, depends where you're from, and apply that to your trousers, basically your pants, and send it over to your character. If you send that enchant straight to your character without applying it to the gear, you won't be able to use it immediately. You have to basically apply it on a character that's level 85 and above. Okay guys, so get yourself that greater pearlescent, and it gives you 5 intellect and 4 versatility, just making you a bit more hardy and a bit more damagey. Okay guys, again, as with the cloak, as with the chest, and as with the neck, the ring is much the same. What is it again? Gift of versatility. Ring. There we are. And this will increase your versatility by 5. Just makes you a bit hardier, a bit easier to take out on a bunch of monsters at the same time. Get that and apply it to your ring. You might have 2 heirloom rings. If you have 2 heirloom rings, get both of them and just enchant them both. It'll give you that much extra versatility. If you don't know how to get yourself any heirloom rings, I have a video on how to get your first heirloom ring using your garrison. Go check it out. I think you just type in heirloom ring on YouTube, and I think mine will pop up like 4th down probably, or 3rd down. As with your weapon, this is one of those things that can change depending on if you're just doing dungeons. I find dungeons is okay, but it's kind of like the lazy man's way of leveling, and it takes a little bit longer in my opinion, especially when you get to like those awkward levels. Especially when you get to some of those dungeons where people just hate doing them and they just leave the group. It's best to just honestly just do the quests, use Azeroth autopilot, and fly through, because you can literally get to some of those really high levels in just a few hours, and it's much quicker than just doing dungeons. Believe me on that. Elemental Force. Okay, Elemental Force. And it's as simple as that. Buy it from the auction house. It's quite cheap, and apply this to any weapon, and basically as long as you're damaging as long as you're damaging an enemy, this will basically just activate and basically just shit on anything. Now as an intellect user, you would still use this. If you choose to not use a staff and you want to use a one-hander and an off-hander, then it does just vary a little bit. Get the elemental force on your main hand, and then on your off hand get major intellect. on your offhand if you're doing it like that. Can be a bonus way of getting a little bit of extra, you know, intellect in there, but you know, it's just dependent on whether you want to use the staff or whether you want to use a main hand and an offhand. Okay, now with that is all you need on your intellect characters, let's move on to strength next. Now strength is really quick because we've already covered what you need to get on your necklace, your chest and your cloak. It's very simple in that regard. So let's get straight into with the shoulder. It does slightly vary when you're using a strength character. What is it called? Fang Inscription, I think it is. Yes, that's it. That's the one. Permanently adds 12 strength and 4 critical strike to a shoulder slot item. And that basically is really good. You need to make sure you use it on a level 85 character, then send that piece of gear over to the low level character. If you send the enchant straight over to the lower level character, it won't work. So make sure you do that. Really good enchant to get on your shoulders for your strength characters. Now as it comes to your legs, you do need something slightly different to what you'd use on other characters. Anger, hide, leg armor, there we go. And this will basically just increase your strength by 15 and critical strike by 8, which is quite a lot, to be honest. That's quite an awesome enchant. Again, it's one of those you're going to have to apply on a character that's level 85 and above, and then send it over to a lower level character. Definitely worth picking that piece up, guys. When it comes to weapons, typically strength users use a two-handed weapon to maximize their damage, especially in questing. And now if you're doing dungeons, you might be using a one hand with elemental force and an offhand with parry enchant on, which we'll look at in a second. But specifically for questing, I would use a two-handed weapon, a two-hander, and get elemental force on that weapon. If it is a shield, I think you'd have something called greater parry. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, so it increases the parry by 12, which isn't, you know, a huge amount, but it is a bit, and it does help. And there we have it, guys. That is all you need for your strength characters, because so many of those enchants were so similar to, you know, how it is with intellect. So as I say, on all your characters, you need to have the Mark of Hidden Satire on your necklace. On your chest, you need to have glorious stats. On your cloak, you need to have Gift of Versatility. And then naturally, on your ring, you need to have Gift of Versatility as well. So there's so many that just kind of go across with each of those. But let's move on to agility. Again, there are only 3 differences with agility, and it will just be 2 differences if you're not a hunter, basically. So first is first, let's go for the shoulder enchant, which is Claw Inscription, if I remember correctly. There we go. 12 agility, 4 critical strike. Use that on a level 85 and above character, then send that piece of gear over to your low level character. That'll work just fine. For your pants, your trousers, you will need something called Shadow Leather. Is it Shadow Leather? Yeah, there it is. Shadow Leather. There we go, and it gives you 15 agility, 8 critical strike, which is super. It's going to be so helpful for just blasting through those monsters and getting yourself up to level 120 as quickly as possible. Get yourself that. It will really, really help. I mean, it's 1,500 gold on my server. It can go higher, but by this point you should have quite a lot of gold and be able to, you know, level your characters quite quickly. Now, if you are a hunter, this will be slightly different. Now, naturally, as most agility users, you'll be using probably one-handed weapons. Get yourself elemental force on those weapons. It will really, really, really help you in that regard. As a hunter, I think you need Blasting Turn. Hold on. Lord Blastington's Scope of Doom. I believe this is a Draenor item. I actually made this on my engineer. You need to make sure, again, you're level 85 when you're applying this to the weapon before you send it over to that character. Definitely worth getting this. It sometimes increases agility by 89. Can you imagine how much damage that will help you with? It's insane. So get yourself that. It will really, really help with leveling your character. But do just bear in mind that's specifically for ranged weapons, so it will be, you know, hunters and anything else apart from that. Typically with agility users, you'll be using the same enchants as all the others. Mark of the Hidden Satire on your neck, glorious stats on your chest, your back. Your cloak, sorry, will be Gift of Versatility, your ring will be Gift of Versatility, and your weapons will be Elemental Force. Super duper easy, guys. Get yourself those enchants, get yourself leveling those characters as quickly as possible. As I say, guys, I learned a lot of what I've spoken about today from just doing some research on Google and just trying to figure out the best enchants that I could use across, you know, my army of alts. As you guys can see, I've been leveling a ton of characters, and it was really important to me to be as efficient as possible. Some people will be like, well, if you want to be as efficient as possible, then you should go to the starting area, do the character sync with level 1, and then do all the starting quests every day. Do that because that's just the most efficient. I'm not on about that. I'm playing the game legitimately, okay? I'm not doing that whole sync bullshit. Alright, guys, I'm doing the game legitimately, okay? That's what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to enjoy the leveling process at the same time. Using Azeroth Autopilot just makes everything so much easier. For questing, I get told from level 20 and above exactly where I need to go. So if I log into, say, I quite like using Pandarians because their trait gets rested XP that much quicker, and it saves you a lot of time. So if we log into this character, you can see immediately Azeroth Autopilot will be, Erosium, go in this direction now. Go pick this up. Go do that. Do this. Do that. Make me a coffee. No, it doesn't actually tell you to do that. But I'll tell you to do that. Go get me a coffee right now. Right now. No, seriously, guys. Smash that like button and subscribe. So you can see immediately, it tells me on my mini-map just here that it wants me to go over to here. I usually just turn this off because there's no need to have objectives on there, and it tells me to turn into quests and do a bunch more stuff. And it just keeps moving me on, and it's so helpful to do that, guys. If you're trying to maximize your XP per hour, then just use Azeroth Autopilot. I found it so much quicker than actually doing anything else. So get that done, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and click subscribe. This is Erosium out, and you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.